Hi. Well, I hope you're well. I am, thank you. It is a little bit late at night, not as late as some of the videos I've made, but it's late enough and I'm going to go to sleep now to make sure I stay that way. If you're not feeling well, if you're fighting a cold or seasonal allergies, I'm so sorry because I know how miserable it is to try to play a wind instrument, particularly one with back pressure like the clarinet, um, when you're all stopped up. And it makes me think about the time now, more than 30 years ago, when I was a grad student at Mannes studying with Peter Simenauer. And I went to my lesson with a pretty miserable cold, but after all, I had something prepared. This was school, and I thought, you know, as you know, getting out of lessons and things because you're sick isn't something you really do unless you're really not up to it. And this hit me suddenly and kind of hard. So I said, let's just do this. Whether it was at Lincoln Center or at Mannes, I always took my lessons in a big room, a classroom or down there, the dressing room or rehearsal space or something, or a musician's lounge, whatever. So I figured there'd be plenty of room to keep a safe distance and hopefully not get my teacher sick. But because I was so obviously sick, Peter saw it and he said, I'm sure you don't feel like playing today. And I certainly understand if you want to just go home and rest. He said, I certainly understand. And I said, honestly, yeah. And he goes, why don't you sit down a minute, relax. He said, I'm actually working on some music for the Philharmonic for a performance this week. And tonight we're actually going to play whatever it was. I don't remember the repertoire anymore. There's a lot of it. And he said, I really like this. Gosh, I wish I remember what it was. But he said, it's really deceptively simple. He said, it's always the simple things that are the hardest. And which is actually a pretty profound but very, very true statement. And he played the passage for me, and he said, "Have you ever played this?" I said, "I don't think so." He goes, "You want? What do you want? Do you feel like trying it?" I said, "Sure," because I came to my lesson with my instrument assembled, so we could start right away. And I played it, and we discussed it. He critiqued it, and we tried tweaking it a little bit. Um, and we this went on for now. It ended up happening to make a long story short. It went on like this for almost an hour. I was coaxed into playing all this repertoire I'd never played, and in some cases hadn't even heard before. And so by the end of the lesson, he asked me how I was feeling. I said, first of all, I hope you don't get my cold, but I'm actually feeling a lot better. And he said, yeah, so you have experienced the power of music today. Imagine that. And he was right. So certainly we don't want to get our colleagues sick or we don't make ourselves sicker, but if you're home and you feel like you need to practice 5 or 10 minutes, you can at least give it a shot because real focused, concentrated playing and music making actually can help heal you. This is not a pie in the sky cosmic thing. You're dealing with vibrations and sounds, and yeah, I guess it sounds kind of hippy dippy no matter how you phrase it, but it was a truth that I lived that day and have lived many times since. And again, you don't necessarily want to go to work very, very sick because out of consideration for people around you, if at all possible. But it doesn't mean you have to, give it up altogether, unless, of course, you can't. My last round of COVID a year ago was especially frustrating because I felt great when I was lying down. And I said, yeah, I should get up and at least try to do a few minutes. And I'd sit up and go, oh, no, I'm not doing that. And back down in the bed. So, of course, there are exceptions. But that was a valuable lesson I learned that day, and I'm passing it along to you. Take care of yourselves. Happy practicing, happy performing. And I'm going to go to bed on that note, on that sentiment, on that. Yeah, good night.